Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do not adjust your set. That's right. You've come to your favorite fast curry house on the interwebs for another Thursday night serving of the V8 Veterans Vindaloo for season number 17. This is round number 3, coming to you courtesy of the Temple of Speed. Rear tires will be on fire and cooking indeed. How do you like your curries there, Mez? A little bit on the spicy side like those rear tires tonight?
Well, yes. I do actually quite like a curry, but should say we're in my native land of Italy, so buongiorno, come stai? Hope everyone's having a good night. But yes, we are here, Autodrome Nationale Monza, the Temple of Speed, as you have called it, and probably, I don't think the Tifosi will be out in force, but these V8 veteran drivers are definitely going to be out in force tonight.
Well, in terms of the speed category, Mez and myself sort of lined up and talked about it pre-race, and as it turns out, neither of us would qualify for the V8 Veterans grid. Neither of us capable of making it into Split 1 and based upon lap times. At the moment, that is what we're looking at in the Principality of Lombardy in Italy. It is going to be nearly 6 kilometers in length, 5.8 for 5.793 to be exact. Another 7 meters we could be 5.8 kilometers. The Rettifilio chicane, Curva Grande, the Della Roggia chicane, the Lesmo Ascari Parabolica. This place is enshrined in every Formula One fans' memories for a number of reasons. If you're a McLaren fan, you love this place. They've got a whole host of recent strong performances here. And if you're a Daniel Ricciardo fan, you are absolutely elated anytime you see this on the schedule. Yep.
And if you're just a fan of any sort of form of racing, you love to see this on the schedule. Like I said, whether it's Formula One, World Endurance, even any category, when you get the F2, F3, when they come here as well, it always turns it on. Obviously a very high speed circuit, basically tuck into the draft of the car in front of you. Even though it's such a high speed track, that the corner grip is still massively important. As you mentioned, you've got Rettifilio coming off that corner, really important to get the power down, and you got to get the thing through Della Roggia. High speed corners, got to use all the curbs as possible. Lesmo is probably two of the most difficult difficult corners on the track in terms of how much speed you got to carry through them to get a good lap. And then you've got Ascari, which is again very difficult. It's basically going to link the entire corner together. You get turn 8 wrong, turn 9 and 10 is completely wrong as well. So you got to nail it the first time. And Parabolica, again, a corner that you've really got to nail, especially coming onto the front straight. Tonight, these guys, the setup's really going to lay itself towards being able to get good runs off the corner and use that draft to your advantage when you get down to turn 1. So get in the car off Parabolica, make sure you can sit the car down, get the drive off the corner, not have the aero wash sort of ruin your momentum onto the front straight. It's going to be key for getting passes done.
Well, let's have a look at the race info for this one. 35 laps is the distance. We've talked a number of times thus far through the season that it will be 200 kilometers for a majority of the races, 50 liters on board to start the race. Tank refill all the way back up, so 61 liters from the drop of the green flag can be added to that tank, and 4.6 liters a lap. Must hit 27 laps to score points. The compulsory pit stop windows will open at the end of lap number 2. And for your second stop, pit on lap number 11, do 24 laps from there to the end of the race. That is good enough. So for some drivers, they'll be looking to come down prior to 11, get that second stop out of the way. Get that first stop out of the way, get themselves out of the queue if they think they're a little bit faster. But for other drivers, they will be staying in the queue. Pit stops and strategy is going to be going a little bit everywhere tonight, Mez. But before we go to the action, I lined ourselves up a little bit of an interview with somebody who put together probably one of my favorite little clips I've seen of recent note, and it's going to be Travis Hunt, who joins us now. Travis, how you doing this evening, mate? How's the racing been thus far this season?
Oh, mate, I'm actually pulling something out my proverbial this season, so I'm not really sure what's going on, but going a little bit quicker, and I'm feeling pretty happy about it. So yeah, must have been the new pedals I got.
So for you, mate, what I wanted to sort of discuss prior to tonight's racing, obviously good qualifying effort in P5, but what drew you to the veterans and indeed sim racing? Let's start all the way back. How did you find out about sim racing and what drew you to it?
Well, I'm going to do a bit of a plug. Troy Sipple actually got me into it from Pecky Performance. Yeah, so I was racing him in the officials. He mentioned it at one time, just said a whole bunch of guys get together that are over 40. And yeah, so he drew me into it. I was in the Scorpion team for a while. And yeah, racing with those boys. So yeah, Troy got me into it.
How long have you been racing for the V8 veterans now and across the number of seasons?
Oh, I think I started in season 13 or 14. Yeah, so a few seasons now.
Yeah, so I think that's about a year now. You've been around the campaign. What's the goal for the end of the season for you?
Oh, mate, I always go for top 20, and I actually managed that in the last 2 seasons. So I'm just going to try to go to top 10 or, higher, whatever I can do this season. Go for the best effort I can.
Other than that, it's been a pleasure to chat to you each and every week. Do you want to give your stream a little bit of a plug before we go to the race? Because I know how much you put out over on your YouTube channel as well.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so just every week, guys, I put out a track guide every Monday for anyone that's not really familiar with the tracks, and just stream every Thursday night at either 4 to 8 or 4 to 9.
Mate, and where can we find those?
Just on Trav TV on YouTube.
Mate, thank you very much for your time, Travis. Best of luck in the race tonight, and from P5, mate, strong chances here.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Mate, good luck. We'll see you the other side. Ladies and gents, time to move over to the racing info for the season thus far. And this is the points as they currently stand. Ken Latta will lead the way by a single point, Mez. A single point.
Yeah, not much. I believe that actually came from having the fastest lap from Bathurst, I'm pretty sure as well. So yeah, this is where we start talking about how that new point system, the changes that they made to it, that's keeping this title race already. It's keeping it very, very close, because you'd almost imagine to see that, obviously Taliecic actually was further down, but either way, it's still keeping the points very, very close. It's not that far from the battle behind. You can actually see even down, 6th place is tied at the moment between Damien Cairns and Bruce Tannock, and not far behind. Then you got Paul Warwick, Chris Dale not far behind, and Matt Vanderkraan not far behind. So very early days in the championship, but that pack that's in the middle there, still plenty to play for.
Yep, and there will be drop rounds to come out the other side of that one. We've got ourselves 4 minutes about till lights out, so it's probably time to jump across and start looking at our racing grid. Actually, I don't think we can cross that just yet. We'll have to wait to move in. Oh, no, we have actually got them available, so this will be coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. This is what our starting grid is going to look like. It is going to be your second place in the championship, Michael Taliencic, off of row number 1. 46.862 was the pole time here tonight, off alongside of Darren Lobb, only 600ths of a second further back. On row number 2, it's going to be John Latham who sees a return to pace. He's only 1,000th of a second slower from being on the front row of the grid, and a 10th further back will be Ken Latta, will be off alongside of him. Moving on to row number 3 will be Travis Hunt. We just spoke to him, feeling confident about things tonight, and Blake Delaney, the debutant this season to the V8 veterans, had an okay race going last week, and unfortunately for him, early pit stop buried him in the pack. As we move our way to row number 4, it's Michael Stewart, who had a cracking battle with Travis Hunt last week. We'll be looking at the rear bumper of his car to start. Damien Cairns off alongside of him. On row number 5, it's going to be Chad Lewis for ERT and Chad Vigor. The two Chads who will be the best of these two when they make it down to turn number 1. It'll be a dice for the chaddest of them all. On row number 6, it's going to be Paul Warwick and Dave Kirby. Dave, the two teammates out of Fishy Motorsports, with Dave always being one of the most consistent finishers. On row number 7, it's going to be Greg Sharp and Matt Vanderkraan. Vanderkraan potentially feeling maybe a little bit underperforming with that qualifying effort. Was very, very quick in the practice session. Off of the next row, it's going to be Bruce Tannock and the driver who got moved up out of split number 2 into split 1 this season, Rick Sebra, and that's his best qualifying performance of the season thus far. We'll move one row further back to Colin Funky Miller. No, that's Chris Funky Miller for you guys that are following along at home. And Robbie Griffiths make it another fishy row on row number 9. On row number 10, it's going to be Jason Fewens and David Nash. We've always seen that grimace of Jason Fewens over on the Zoom feed. Expect to see more of that tonight. For Mez, will take us through to row number 11.
And row 11, we've got Michael Quain coming off in 21st. Scott McCune, Scott's favourite person in the world will be coming out of P22. We'll move further back. Jeff Thomas will be coming out of P23. First car to be just out of a second off the pole sitter. So we're going all the way back to P23 before we actually get to that close field. P24, Tim Nicol will be starting alongside Paul Burns. We'll be coming out of 25th with Dean Flavel coming out of P26. Chris Blanchard, P27 with Scotty Van Loon coming out of P28. And moving back, P29 will be Robert Crisdale from Leap Juice Racing. Alongside him will be Stephen Kennedy in P30. And then guys outside of the top 30, Chris Smart will be starting there. Alongside will be Darren Crosby in the second of the M1 cars. Peter Vanderkraan will be coming out of P33 with Jamie McKnight, the setup guru, coming out of P34. Matty Parker will be coming out of P35 with Simon Hedershot alongside in 36th. We'll move down to Damien Cross will be coming out of 37th. 38 alongside will be the ERT boss man, Brenton O'Brien. And we'll move to 39th place, which will be Tom Duggan. And coming out of P40 and the final qualifier, Darren Goosey. And that should be everyone. The two other guys are non-starters.
Yeah, so what's happened there, I can tell you, Matt, is actually Jason Chin and Michael Yo connected to the wrong server tonight, so they'll be off down in split 2 and split 3, and the racing will be coming that way. We're just moments away, ladies and gentlemen, before those lights are going to come on. It's going to be a fuel race, this one. 11 laps in, the strategy opens up. You can fill the tank to get to the end. Who's going to split the strategy? We saw strategy was important last week, but before you can think about strategy, it's the run down to turn number 1. The lights are about to come off. The green light's in the air. Here we go for 200 kilometers of the V8 veterans from Monza. And immediately out to the inside is going to be Damien Cairns trying to grab a couple of spots. I think it's going to be Delaney who gets a poor start 2 weeks in a row. He's now buried in the pack alongside of all the fishy cars. But Taliancic has the nose ad when they get into 1. Lobb will feed in behind him. And from there, it's going to be John Latham. Travis Hunt's going to try and get the spot away from Ken Latter as they go side by side out through there. And immediately, Michael Stewart's managed to grab that spot away from Blake Delaney, move himself up to 6th place as well. So it's going to be Stewart from Cairns, from Chad Lewis. And then we're going to throw it a little bit further back. I believe it's Vigor that follows those guys in as they make their way down to turn number 4 for the first time tonight.
Bit of tap on the rear, and that's actually put Lobb around. That's going to cause a big accident. It's kicking, and Latham's in there as well. The championship. Oh, geez, it's all gone chaos there. There was lots of pushing and shoving into turn. Yeah, Latham is not in a good spot at the moment. You see, Stewart's come out the other side, managed to miss that, but Darren Lobb first one with the damage. That was a big hit. And I'm pretty sure, actually, championship contender as well. I'm just trying to pick it up at the moment. Ken Latter is down in 24th place. So he also got involved in all that as well. That was just seemed very clumsy going into turn 1. Everyone had sort of done a really, really good job getting through turn 1, 2. It's usually where all the accidents occur, but for some reason that carried all the way down to turn 2. And that's affected a few of the front-running guys. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out for this race now.
Normally it's turn 1 when you come to Monza. It's so tight through the De La Roggia chicane.
And another car off at the background.
Huge one. Huge moment at the tail end of the field. Number of cars caught up. Still no safety car. Everyone's still facing in the right direction. And, well, not facing in the right direction, but still rolling. At least for the meantime. For Darren Crosby, he will have no choice when it comes to pit lane. This is going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons in terms of strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big winner out of all of this that's going on at the moment, Mike Taliancic, 3.2 seconds, 3.4 seconds. He is running away from this battle at the moment. John Latham has missed turn 1 completely. He got straight down. I wonder if, I wonder if the damage on the front of that car is causing an issue. We've got Paul Burns around as well on the inside of turn 1. It is pandemonium at the moment. Cars are everywhere. That's missing the rear boot. That's definitely not going to have very good aero on the back of that car. But it's Yeah.
You've got to survive lap number 1, Mayers, but the number of drivers that have not only survived lap number 1, they've been big winners out of this. Like you said, Talianchis has skipped clear of this entire pack. Safety car will reset that field if we ever get one. But in the meantime, Michael Stewart from 7th on the grid to 2nd place, and going with him, also up 5 spots, Damien Cairns. Chad Lewis is also up 5 spots. Paul Warwick is up 6, and so is Dave Kirby. My lord, on a sprint race format, when we come to the Temple of Speed, it's been the Temple of Mayhem.
Yeah, and that's it. It's surviving that opening lap, and it's kind of crazy that we've had such a chaotic start. Usually, you know, in these sort of races, you don't want to get involved in everything. It's so much an aero-dependent track, and being in a group of drivers to sort of work together and move forward. You can see right in the rear bumper pushing it forward at the moment, trying to get a hurry on, but yeah, to see them sort of going that hard against each other and just a lot of pushing and shoving, yeah, it just seems you know, so early in the race, it seems a little bit silly. So, but we'll see. They've sort of started to spread themselves out. We've got a few little battle packs that are starting to form. We've got this one right in front of us at the moment, but we'll see if they are settled down a bit.
Surely, Mez, surely. For Darren Lobb, he's going backwards. He's got no straight line speed whatsoever. Surely a pit. You've got to get 2 compulsory stops out of the way. Get in, get your first stop done, get that straight line speed back, and then you've still got 1 stop left to go. Surely that would be the case.
And actually, yeah, we should be in the window now. So yeah, we're in the window, so it's definitely viable. And we did have a look at like that possible strategy. So you can make that early stop work. It's not hard to do at all. But you'd be more sort of thinking of, you know, do you want to be out of cycle with everyone else? You can find someone you can sit in behind, save a little bit of fuel. Maybe that might help you in the long term. But you can see, look at that, just coming out of the first of the Rogers, just he just drove it right up to the back of him. So the aero on that car is just being absolutely smashed. And yeah, this is, yeah, I think the longer that he stays out here, it's just going to hurt him more. We'll see as he goes down towards the Ascari. Look at that, just absolutely nothing in a straight line. Miller's just going to go right around the outside. Yeah, at this point you have to pit. You're just going to go backwards at a faster rate of knots if you stay out there with that much damage.
Darren Crosby has pit, so he was didn't get into the window pit at the end of lap 1, I believe. So that will not be a compulsory spot complete. And the other driver I'm keeping half an eye on is Simon Hederscheid, who was involved in that first instance, also has not pit. Jamie Knight made a pit lane start, by the way. So did start from the lane, so dodged a lot of that chaos on that one, and still already picked up a number of drivers as well. And for Lob, he is shading to the inside of the track, and that will be first compulsory pit stop out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. Your full tank. So in terms of things, what needs to happen in terms of the 2 fuel drops, you're looking at about 110 litres. A little bit more or a little bit less than 110 litres. For Talianchis, with the pace that he's setting at the moment, the clinic he's putting on, I get the feeling he might have to add 111 litres worth of fuel. He might have to add every last drop to get that thing hot moving, which, conveniently, Mez, is exactly the maximum tank capacity of these cars.
That's it. At this point, I'd be almost expecting Talianchis to just be driving his own race at the moment, and just, if you could keep eking that gap out, or at least keep that gap contained, yeah, that'll be ideal, and just run the car for as long as he possibly can. Not sure if he's got a spotter available to him tonight, but just keeping an eye on the guys that he's battling. If they pit earlier, the big crossover is going to be the extra tyre life. We know with these cars that once you put a new set of tyres on, you get about 3 or 4 laps of really peak performance, and then they start to drop off. So that's going to be the only concern for Talianchis at this point. He's got enough of a buffer. He'll just run the tank out, and the only time that he'll really jump at something is if people start to catch him with the newer tyres. So it's kind of sets him up for a bit more of a straightforward race. We can see a little bit of a battle into Ascari on board with Greg Sharp there. But yeah, this big pack at the moment, I believe it was Matt Vanderkrant that was actually having a look on the inside of Rick Sibra, but I couldn't quite get it done. So battle packs are starting to form at the moment. And Scott's decided to leave me hanging, unfortunately, so I guess I'm stuck waiting.
There's a button on my microphone that says mute, and all it does is blink at me, and when my eyes are looking everywhere around screens, I'm not looking for muted microphones. I even forgot that I actually pressed the button to believe it or not. But yeah, so Blake Delaney has just made a call to, I believe it was the Ascari chicane. No, for me it's actually not the discovery chicane. It might have been turn 1, but there's something happened to Blake Delaney on that lap that he was on the radio to race control. And what has happened, so...
Change of position there as well. We've got some black flags coming out as well. We're seeing John Latham given a black flag, I'm assuming for that opening lap incident. Darren Lobb as well with the black flag, so weren't able to catch a replay as yet, but interesting, yeah, 2 penalties already issued. That's gonna have a big effect in this race, so yeah, you can get a replay, it'd be good, but yeah, interesting.
Interesting as well, the strategy's already started to be played. Ken Latta pit from 1.5 miles in front of Blake Delaney. I was just watching the 2 pairs of stops there. Ken Latta has added a lot of fuel at this current pit stop. So for me, Ken Latta, no, he's just had a really, really slow pit lane transition for some reason.
Yeah, something quick. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. That. Yeah, Delaney was quite a long stop. Delaney definitely was quite a long stop. But yeah, the pit lane transition time was also quite lengthy. You're having a bit of a look here. Oh!
He left the door open and closed it at the last moment.
Oh, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if you can get like maybe an onboard or something on Latham's car, because yeah, you can see that. Here we go. A bit of a look. So yeah, coming across. Oh! Not much in that. I'm assuming that's what Latham got the penalty for. Yep. I'm not so sure if that is the right call in that situation, I'll be honest, because you can see that the car in front's moved to the left, and this is something. Oh, I've got a bit of chaos coming out of turn 1, but the one thing I've always sort of prescribed to is that if you make a move to the left, you really can't come back to the right, at least to the extent where you're going to cross over in front of the car behind you. You've committed yourself to a defensive move, you really can't come back. If he's moved himself back across and then's obviously caused Latham to check up, and that's sort of caused the contact, I'm not 100% sure if that was the penalty, just assuming that's what the penalty was for. If that was what the penalty was for, I don't think the punishment fits the crime, but there's probably a bit more going on there that we can't see, but from what I can see there, yeah.
I can tell you, absolutely confirmed that Darren Lobb's penalty, by the way, was 100% for the rejoin. I just went back and had a look at his brake lights. They prescribe in the rules, when you're in an incident like that, you must hold the brakes, and albeit there's a lot of sausage curves down there at turn 4 at the second chicane, and Lob knew he was going over them, but there was no brake lights activated at any stage as a part of that from the rear bumper of Darren Lobb. So that is 100% what his penalty was for as well. So he will have a drive-through penalty to serve, as does John Latham at this point in time. In the meantime, keep your eyes up forward. Chad Lewis has managed to look after his tyres quite well and is now starting to go forward. I was looking back across lap times throughout the session. If you compare the lap time from Michael Stewart, his fastest qualifying lap, 48.262, it was 0.4 of a second then slower on his second lap. So that's how much the fall off is from lap 1 to lap 2, let alone all the stopping and starting there. It's just absolutely sets those rear tyres alight.
Yeah, it's a big car, especially if they've got full tanks in it at the moment. They come to a near standstill coming out of turn 2, and you can see this battle going on at the moment. Look, Rick trying to go around the outside. He's got the run. He's going to have the inside line as they head up to the first Erosia. Side by side into the braking zone, not giving up. Tannock wants to keep this spot. They're going to go side by side, a little bit of contact. Only just a touch. We're going to see, it looks like Greg Sharp going for a dive on the inside of Chris Miller. He's going to set himself up for the first, and through he goes. Yep, and that's going to open up the door, and it looks like, sorry, just trying to catch, that's Matt Vanderkroon. Oh, there's contact coming through the second of them. Oh, that has just gone off big time. Not sure what happened there. It seems like, Chad Vigor was the car involved, sorry. But, yeah, not sure what happened there. They both went side by side through the corner, and it just seemed like they made contact right on the apex. Chad slotting in behind there, but hopefully we'll get a replay on that one and see what actually happened there. But yeah, a bit of a side by side with Tannock and Sibra triggered off a little bit more by the looks of it.
Yes, this will hopefully get us a replay. So Sharp's in a little bit deep. That provides the opportunity to get down the inside, and then they just make contact. He squeezed him. I don't know if there was enough space at the apex there.
Yeah, interesting to see. So Greg just, he's not had a good run. That's obviously affected Chris in the background. So they are side by side. Oh, yeah.
That's not a great angle, to be fair.
Yeah, not a great angle, but at the same time, it doesn't look like he's really...
drone shot's going to
drone cam.
Oh no, I tell you what, from that angle, he's actually left enough space.
Yeah, but I still think Greg's turned in. He left the space for the move up the inside, but I still think Greg's turned in. Because it was contact very early on in the process. So, interesting. Well, I'm not sure, very sure Race Control's probably going to have a look at it. Matt van der Kroon in and away as well, short 21 second pit stop. So see what's going to happen there. And we flick back here, and looks like Michael Stewart's got back in front of Chad Lewis. Not sure what's going on there, but back up into P2. And all this little squabbling that they're having at the moment, Michael Taliancic out to 7.6 seconds. He is just casually driving away with this race at the moment.
Yep, so nice and comfortable at the moment in P number 2. In the meantime, Taliancic has disappeared 7.5 seconds down the road for Chad Lewis. Damien Cairns, they're sitting there working together at the moment. And the onboard shot for Michael Stewart. Albeit somebody looks like they've chopped up his hands when he reaches over to grab a gear.
I love the green screen having issues trying to determine whose hands. It's like Damien Cairns making a bolt for the pit lane as well. So that's first of our sort of front runners that's actually going to make a jump to the line. You see Chad Lewis in the background, ranging up on the background. Is he going to try and go for inside? Nope, we'll just simply roll out of it at this point. So he'd be smart in this situation, considering that, you know, Taliancic is just going to be so far down the road at this point. Really, the only way you're going to sort of pull him back into this one is actually probably with fuel strategy. So in this sort of situation, I'd be looking, if I was in Chad's position, I'd be looking at probably not actually racing Michael as hard, just sit in the draft and try and save as much fuel as you can, because you really could sort of tee yourself up to maybe, well, you'll jump him in the pit stops because you'll have a much shorter fuel stop. Even if you do take on more fuel, there's less you probably may have to take on later on. Travis was very sideways going into there, just it did not turn for whatever reason, but managed to finally get the nose pointed. But for these situations, this is a good opportunity to save fuel. So you're going to need a bit of an alternate strategy at the moment, because Taliancic is still just quicker. Even in the first 2 seconds, he's already pulled out 3/10 on Michael Stewart. So yeah, this is where you're going to start thinking pit strategy. Race pace at the moment, I don't think they're going to be able to really chew too much into Taliancic's lead. So yeah, they've got to start thinking what can they do with pit strategy to try and pull Taliancic back in.
And look at the chair. The thing for me is you can tell he's talking. So he's talking to his teammates at the moment. And Jeff Thomas, I don't think we've actually talked to Jeff Thomas so far tonight. But in terms of things for... Now I've lost him. I was looking for him on Discord. Where's he gone to? There they are. Travis Hunt. He's actually not talking to the guys on Discord. He's muted himself up. He's talking to his YouTube chat, is what he's talking to. So he's live streaming that one. And then he unmuted himself. Just watched him unmute himself on Discord, talk to his teammates, and then mute himself back up again. So back over to talking to the chat. So he's having time.
Have a look. If we can, have a look. Jason Feward's coming into pit lane. All fours locked up coming into the lane. I'd love to know if you actually got a penalty, got a speeding in pit lane penalty. Taliancic's in the lane at the moment. So this is that lead group. Taliancic, I'm surprised, actually pitting already. Sort of slipped straight on my radio. I was looking at a few other things. So down and out. Looks like just in front of him, Travis Hunt. Just in front. So Travis Hunt's actually taken. Wow. Let's have a quick look at what's going on there. Travis Hunt, because he also pitted at the same time, 18 seconds. Michael Taliancic was a 31-second stop. So Michael Taliancic has taken a big drop of fuel straight up. He's definitely filled that tank right to the top. I almost assume with 31 seconds, it's probably going to be at least worth that sort of 60, 70 litres, I believe. So it's definitely going to be a full tank. So this is going to be the big stint from Talyancic. Travis Hunt, very, very short pit stop, 18 seconds. He's probably just topped it up enough just to get him to the next pit window. Probably looking, we're on lap 10 at the moment, so we're just shy of sort of that even split. So yeah, I'd almost say that, yeah, this is probably going to be a bit of a short stint from Travis Hunt.
No worries. That's the difference in terms of fuel taken. When we look at the strategy graphic pre-race, it was estimated to take about 61 litres if he came in about lap 11. But for Michael Talyancic, he's filled that thing all the way up. All very close too. And remember, cast your eyes back last week. 2 different race tracks when we're talking about things. So obviously, different strategy from the Mountain Mets because we had all the safety cars. Last week, we finally got that green flag ability to go have compulsory pit stops in the middle of a green flag race. And all of the drivers that went for that big dump in the first stint basically got caught up behind traffic and then didn't have the out-and-out equivalent performance to get the pass done. And that caught them out in a bunch of big packs. This week, very, very different. You can get your overtakes done here at Monza a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. The straight line, or having the option for so many straights, is going to make a big difference. The other thing that I'll probably also think about too is the difference in fuel loads. If you've got a heavier tank, it might be a bit harder to get the car off the corner. You may not have as much straight line speed compared to a guy around you who's got a much less fuel in the tank. But I'd still say you're 100% correct that just by having a bit of a wider track, a lot more straights, it does create more passing opportunities. If you've generally got more pace than the guy in front, you're probably going to get the pass done 90% of the time. So you can see on screen Darren Busey.
Only driver not to pit.
Only driver, exactly, not to pit. And here we go. I just caught this on my other screen here. Just watch the braking into here. All 4's locked up. Does not look. I can go have a quick look now. I don't think he actually didn't get a penalty for it. Yep. That has to be the best pit entry of the night. If you can do that, all 4's locked up. Oh man, that is.
He wouldn't have made that if he was underneath the rear wing of McCune, and as it stood, he nearly ended up punching a Jason Fewen size hole in the rear wing of McCune, but for now, it's going to be punching a Jason Fewen size hole in the right front corner of Scott McCune, and now this battle pack is going to break out into a race. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the middle of a podcast. We were sleeping a little bit. All of a sudden, the veterans have gotten back to what they normally do.
As you say, they finally found the curry, so now they're getting back into it. Got the line in there. Got the line in there. Always has to be chicken. Always has to be chicken. No exceptions. And you can see this battle pack forming here on David Nash just in front of Fewens at the moment. So there's a bit of a form here. So Matty Parker's leading this one at the moment. Rick Zebra, David Nash, Fewens, Smart, McCune, your favourite person, and Warwick as well. So there's a little bit of battle pack. You can see a little bit sideways coming out of the final quarter for Fewens. This is really going to open up an opportunity is he as well. The 999 of Christian Smart, he's closing in big time. Is he actually going to go for a dive? Yes, he's going to swing out to the inside, hard on the brakes. Be careful of the car in front. It's so easy to go a little bit too deep and tag the car in front of you. They're going to run through side by side, a little bit of contact. Oh, and it's just gone from bad to worse. Trying to make that run through side by side. It's tricky, but it can be done, and that's affected 3 drivers. I think McCune as well, that was caught up in that one. It was just a little bit of side-by-side contact, and unfortunately affected a few drivers, and it's still going on. A little bit of contact between Christian Smart, and I think Tanek was involved with that with Scott McCune. Looked for a move up the inside. Tanek's actually just messed it up completely. Now it's led Scott McCune back up the inside as they run up. He's got the inside at the moment.
Can we get a GoPro?
Job done.
Can we just get a GoPro and attach it to Scott McCune each and every week? Like, the reason why I like him, yes, sure, he does end up off the track quite a lot of the times, and yes, sure, he probably blames me for that, but I think he has some of the most interesting races. And he's never quiet around Scott McCune, and for now, he's going to be just in and around that battle pack as well. There's a lot of good drivers in and amongst this fight, including Bruce Tanek, including Chris Smart, including Damien Cross and good old funky C. Miller.
It still catches me out every time because obviously in the broadcast we see him come up as Chris Miller, but in iRacing itself it comes up as Funky Miller. So I've got to keep reminding myself every time I see his name, it's Chris Miller. So it catches me out a little bit, but you can see Tanek just sliding it out of the final corner. Chris Miller, he's got a really good run out of the final corner here. He's right on the back of, I believe, I'll quickly find it, Damien Cross. But Damien Cross being helped out by the car in front. He'll try and go around. I don't think the around the outside is going to work. Christian Smart just up front. Bit of a lock brakes from a couple of cars up ahead. Now trying to get out of this corner. You can see it's so hard to get the power down here, especially if you're sort of in a bit of a train. You're just looking at the car in front, you're thinking, you've got an opportunity, you've got a bit of pace here. So easy just to put a little bit too much throttle into those rear tyres and then we'll just light up straight away. You've got to be so patient, so gentle on that accelerator coming out of turn 1. And you can see there's a McCune, I think, got very sideways coming out of the first of the Roger, and now he's got Christian Smart all over the back of him.
Yeah, this is just interesting, this entire battle pack. And tell you what, it's everyone's crawling all over each other. I was about to say that I think the biggest issue with Monza is that if you've got the pace and you think that you can potentially try and get out in front and lead them, very, very difficult because people just get the draft and just send it back down the inside again. Sometimes you've just got to be a little bit more head screwed on for some of these guys and just say, hey, who's the fastest driver around me? Yep, I'm just going to sit on their rear wing and follow them. I don't ever want to throw it. I want them to pull me around.
Absolutely, and it is a bit tricky because obviously with these sorts of cars, the racing that we sort of traditionally see is it's always, back and forth, rubbing doors, all that sort of stuff. In these sort of situations, you've got to sort of throw that mentality, have a bit more of an endurance style mentality. Peter van der Kraan into pit lane because he was very sideways out of the final corner, may have just burnt the rear tyres off that. But yeah, you've got to sort of have a little bit of an endurance style mentality where you've got to think, not so let's think in the next few laps, think maybe 10 or 15 laps down the road. Where, as he said, if you've got a faster car in front of you, don't fight him, sit in behind, work together, try and push each other further down the field. And obviously if you're used to racing a certain style, like this is why we watch these guys. They get into it, they bang doors. That's what we like. That's why we like watching them. Sometimes you just got to throw it out the window and yeah, calm it down and drive it a bit more sensible.
Right, well, they're going to try and settle down at the meantime, and Travis Hunt is slowly starting to be pulled back in by Taliancic at the meantime, but Stewart's right up with Taliancic at this point. This is a phenomenal drive from Michael Stewart. He's in a really, really good position here, and there is going to be a lot of opportunity for him to bank a whole host of points. When you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, safety car has been deployed, which means the entire field is about to come to the attention of their crews for their second compulsory pit stop. And from here, you get the feeling it's going to be tyres only to the end of the race, where they all got in. They all got in. I was just about to say, did Travis Hunt get in time? Yes, he did. So...
yeah, absolutely. At this point, you've just got to pit. This will get their second pit stop over and done with, so they won't have to worry about taking another stop. But I do believe they will be, actually, yes, they will be in that window to get to the end. So where we mentioned earlier, that pit strategy, the early stop being viable, pit lap 11 was when you pit, top the tank up, and that'll get you home. This is where that's going to happen. Everyone will hit the lane. I'd be very surprised if anyone actually doesn't pit. And here's where we saw before. This is the advantage that Taliancic got himself. He took that massive fuel drop in that first stop. Guess what? He gets to jump everyone coming out of the pit lane. That short stop has still worked out for Travis Hunt. He's going to pop out in second. This is still a really good job from Travis Hunt being able to make that work. Damien Cairns popping out in P3 as well. David Kirby popping up into P4. That's a fantastic job. And then Chad Lewis sitting there in P5. So I think Chad was about average with everyone else, taking sort of a bit more fuel or a bit less fuel in that first stop. But yeah, managed to make it work out. And we've got Scotty Van Loon, I believe, is the reason we have that safety car parked just on the exit of turn 1.
so they'll wheel that one back up into that safety road in the background. Fire extinguishers there on standby, should that thing burst into flames. But I think the reason why we've got this safety car is because this thing has no flames coming from the engine bay at the moment.
It's not a Gen 3 supercar. Sorry, I had to say it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not a loved car. It's not a loved category at the moment. There's so much hullabaloo going along as part and parcel of it. This is going to be a blown engine on a downshift for sure. Yep, there she goes.
There it is, yeah. You don't need those cylinders anymore because they're all out the side of the circuit. So very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. They're especially because you're coming from 6th gear, you're flat cat, and then you've got to try and slow the thing down as quick as you can. And I know myself sometimes get a bit too excited on the downshift, and if you just pop a gear just a bit too early, that's it. She throws a piston and that's it. Game over.
Actually saw somebody do that in a Formula V last night, by the way, man. So possible in multiple different categories, but there you go. Safety car is going to be the Mercedes-AMG, the 2020 version. I've got Daytona 24-hour win in that car, so I'm always happy to see that one circulating once again. Update from John Gallen, doing 211s around the mountain in the sports sedans class by the sounds of things. But other than that, it's Bathurst week, ladies and gents. Normally this week, in terms of iRacing, is the most dead Australian servers tend to be throughout the year. And can you blame them? There's a ton of people up at the mountain this weekend.
Isn't it funny that the first thing I thought was they're doing 211s in the sports sedans? I still can't do a 211 in a supercar around there, so they're pretty quicker than me.
Yes, I can beat Bez in one car!
Probably one. Oh man, but yeah, like yeah, 100%. It's the weekend everyone gets excited for. I'm not one of them, but I'm a very odd person, we'll put it that way. But I'll, of course, still be tuning in. Even if you're not a fan of the race, you still tune in. You still watch it. It's still something you have to watch. You know, it's the Australian thing.
It's a better show than Neighbours ever was. That's to be sure.
I will disagree with that. I will back that in, 100%.
More dramas, more scripts to unfold. Interesting point to know. I reckon Travis Hunt's actually underfilled this thing a little bit when they see safety car. Where how much fuel? So full green flag running around here's worth what? 4.5 litres a lap? 4.5, 4.6, somewhere in there, right? That's sort of a margin.
4.4.
You reckon 4.4? Yeah. How much fuel do you reckon you can get away with under safety car?
You'd be doing a lot of clutching. You could probably get down at a half, maybe a couple of litres. It depends how aggressive you are on the clutching, and trying to not burn as much fuel as you can. What are they going at the moment? They're about 70 k's under safety car. Potentially, yeah, you could probably get it down to about 2 litres. So you could save, you know, half a lap basically under safety car. It's generally where I'd sort of usually put it. It's about half a lap you save. So if they've short fueled it, which you can sometimes do if you're quick on the money, you can use the safety car as an advantage, and you know, short fuel yourself a little bit, knowing that you can actually save that fuel under safety car. So a couple laps under safety car, you can probably save yourself what, 4 or 5 litres if you average it out. If you go a couple of laps, so yeah, you could not put that, especially if you're in a real tight battle, you can not put that 5 or 6 litres in, jump a couple of people in the pit stop, and then just quickly save as much fuel as you can under that safety car period. But yeah, you've obviously got to be really on it as quick as you can. It helps to have a spotter that's probably in your ear, sort of giving you that information, but it's definitely a strategy you can use.
I would like to pitch to V8 Supercars Australia, why don't we have 1 or 2 timed races a year? Let's get away with the lap certain races, because for me it just throws a different strategy out there. If you get a safety car in a time certain race, all of a sudden the amount of fuel you have to add drops significantly compared to a lap certain race. It's always worth trying, you know, just something different, appeal to a different market, create some different strategies, different style of race.
You'd definitely see a lot less people complaining about races going time certain. You can say that as well.
Well, they're always time certain in that case. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I definitely think it's worth. Like, I've been sort of watching a bit of the Super 2 racing because they've recently done that as well. Which, irony, they did it because they wanted to make sure they stayed within the timetable with each event, so they went to time certain to timed races. And again, yeah, very, very different style of racing. So, you know, where you'd sort of you could have things figured out and say, cool, well, this lap we pit here, we know we can run to this point in time. You sort of still do that with timed racing, but when safety cars happen, it does become very fluid. And the lap, you basically got to assume what lap times the field's going to be running at. So, you know, whether you do, where you do 35 laps or 36 laps really depends on the pace of the field. If it's a really quick pace, then yeah, you might do more laps than what you think. So you got to calculate that in your thing. Whereas, yeah, if this was a timed race, again, it could have created another different view as well, because where we're talking about you got to have a certain amount of fuel to get yourself to the end. Well, you don't have to do 35 laps now. We've spent 3 laps on the safety car. You might only have to do 32 or 31, so you can save more fuel again in the pit stop. So again, it's how you think about these things. It just opens up more opportunities. But obviously, lapped races. So yeah, we sit with those.
Have a look at Travis Hunt just sitting there. He's chatting away. They're talking about racing, talking about their race in terms of things. He's sitting in P2. Great opportunity here tonight. Another driver that's also always on the Zoom calls. Actually got to see him. Damien Cairns competed in the Formula 4 Esports Cup over on Tuesday night. Got to commentate that as well. Just loves racing, Damien. You know, the shuckers that he gives us every single time we've got him on the Zoom feed over here, does it just about everything. Damien Cairns just loves racing. That's all. Doesn't matter which car, doesn't matter which format, just a driver that loves to be entertained. And in talking about entertaining, well, Michael Taliancic is going to look to entertain as early as possible. Have a look at the rear ends of those cars wiggling in behind him. I was talking to you about this before the race, Mez. Third gear, it's nearly when you pull fourth gear is when you put the foot flat to the floor as they come off a parabolic for Damien Cairns. He's going to pull alongside. He's absolutely going to have a crack. He's got the nose ahead. Now Hunt's going to fight back down the outside, but when they get to turn 1, Damien Cairns gets through to second place. This is a huge opportunity for the 88. And now for Travis Hunt, there's going to be some issues in the background because here comes Dave Kirby as well.
Yeah, oh, look at that. Kirby was lighting himself up to also have a crack down at turn 1. Now he's going to wait for turn 2, turn 3. He tries to stick his nose. No, he's not going to do it. Travis is able to just keep the nose in front there. But this might work out. This is not over for Travis Hunt at the moment, although he's had a really bad run off the corner. That's going to allow Kirby down the inside. He's going to get the job done. Travis sideways off of the first Lesmo, and now Chad Lewis is going to be looking up the inside. So Travis has not really been able to get the tyres underneath this car straight off the start. Now Chad Lewis is going to be in the draft and right behind Michael Stewart as well, who was running up front in the earlier stages of this race. So Travis dropping down the order very, very quickly, just not able to get the restart off the way he wanted it to.
And the big issue, Mez, that's a lot of tyre heat. He's never going to get rid of that. He's never going to get with but it's another big old wiggle. He's still trying to hang on to this thing, and for Travis Hunt, he's gone from P2 to P4 in half a lap. It's going to be P5 because here comes Lewis to the inside, the ERT driver. With a Logitech plastered to the hood, runs it in deep at Parabolica. It's going to be Hunt on the outside. He will get the drive. He's got the longer way around the corner. Lewis to the inside's got to be very, very careful with his application of the throttle pedal. Now they'll both go chasing the draft. Lewis has got the nose ahead, but here comes Travis Hunt out of the draft. A little bit of side draft takes the effect. We get now down to the braking zone at turn number 1. Travis Hunt's got the nose ahead, but is it going to be Lewis? Still gets there, gets to the curbing, side by side through turn number 1. Neither driver wants to yield. Chad Lewis out the other side.
Now watch for Michael Stewart as well. He's also got a really good run off the corner here. He's going to try and sit in behind. This will create an opportunity. Travis has got to be aware if Michael gets a run, although it looks like the draft from Chad Lewis is going to nullify it out a bit. Won't be able to get there, but Travis will fall right in behind. It's just got a feel for him. Can sort of feel what he's going through, just not able to get the power down. As he said, you get that heat in the rear tyres, you've just got to back off the throttle. You can't run the tyre as hard as what you feel you can, and that's where it starts doing that sliding, where he kept having it out of Ascari. He just had the rears just wanting to slide everywhere. Coming out of Parabolica, same thing. Tried to get the throttle down, but just could not go anywhere because the rears were just so hot. You just got to back off them and let them recover themselves. If you keep trying to drive them hard, they just won't go anywhere. It seems like it's settled out a little bit now. He's just dropping back a little bit at the moment, but the car's looking a lot more balanced now. So he's going to be feeling a bit better about that. Now he can reset himself. Okay, that happened. Deal with it. Now just work on going forward. He's tucked up right behind Chad Lewis, so now his chance is just to go with him.
Well, I was talking to a ton of the drivers from the Logitech series last weekend, the highest level of supercars in the country, and every single time we talked to them about one-lap dashes, about shootout-style laps, you saw them get a wiggle on out of Hell Corner. You saw them get a wiggle on out of Griffins. They jump in to have a chat afterwards, and the words that came out of their mouths were, yep, I wiggled the tyres around too early on in the lap, and that was it. They were just gone for the rest of the lap. So for Travis Hunt, when he's got 17 laps left in this thing, he's got to get this car home. And if 1-2 slides are enough for the pros to be sitting here and complaining, I'm not pro. That's why I didn't know about it. But for Travis Hunt, he's going to be reeling now for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, and just saw behind Paul Warwick actually got the job done on Michael Stewart into turn one. Very clinical move done, but yeah, you're 100%. That's the first thing I had to really understand when I did the Sandown 500, the Scott Sandown 500, was protecting those rear tyres at the start of the race, because as soon as you lay into them that little bit too much too early, it is so hard to recover them from there. You've just got to gently get the tyres in, get them up to temp. So unusual to most of the racing that we sort of do, you know, with say for example Porsche's the main stuff I sort of do, GTP as well. You kind of want to get the tyres up to temp as quick as you can because you've got no grip. So your ideal strategy is in the first couple of laps, drive them harder, try and slide the car a little bit, try and generate some heat into those tyres. You can still go too far with it, but the problem is you've got cold tyres, so you need to get some heat into them. These things, kind of the opposite. As soon as they get that little bit too hot, and they do when you try and jam over 600 horsepower through them, yeah, it's very easy for it to go backwards for you.
Michael Stewart, now he's going to try and find that rhythm. The other thing I was going to say was, from Travis Hunt's perspective, think of the psychology side of it, Mez. He was sitting there, chatting away with his chat, trying to set himself up, try and get himself back into the race. Maybe he didn't switch back on early enough. Maybe there was a little bit of reeling. He seems to have found his rhythm, though, and stemmed the bleeding for the meantime. Ken Latta and Blake Delaney, though, they're just in the back of this one. Latta's going to get to the inside for Matt Vanderkraan at turn one. Still not got the job done. Now he'll get the job done. And so one more spot for Ken Latta, up to 8th place. And Blake Delaney will be forced to watch, and now he's going to try and look to the inside. And I tell you what, there's actually a small bit of damage to the rear bumper of Matt Vanderkraan, as if he's been centre punched in the back end of that car. So there's nothing in it for these guys. Delaney will get the nose ahead. And for a few of these guys that got involved in that lap one drama, starting to cut their way back through the field. And this is so important. Think of the championship led by Latta. Well, with the current standings, he absolutely won't be leading when we leave Monza here tonight.
Yeah, that's where my mind went straight away. Was yeah, Ken Latta doing a fantastic job, caught up in that one, and Delaney as well coming through the field with him. Great recoveries, and given, like we sort of said, the way the track is and how much time the safety car obviously worked out big for them, allowed them to sort of compress the field again and reset, but they've still got to get themselves through this field at the moment, and they're doing a very, very good job. You know, up to P8, Delaney up to P9. Doesn't look like it's been such a good night for, just trying to find him real quick. Darren Lobb still down in P29, was one of those front runners that got caught up in that lap one incident. So,
but he was on the lead lap, so he is back on the lead lap. That's the benefit now.
Yeah, but still, yeah, still buried down the pack. It just, yeah, obviously gone from bad to worse for Lobb, but definitely a front runner. You can see going for a move down there. Christian Smart as well, and he's just going to lift out of the way. Realises Lobb's got to trying to power his way through the field at the moment, so not wanting to get in the way. He'll set his targets towards Jamie McKnight, I believe, up front. So yeah, and oh no, big incident that's taken out Ken Latta, Matt Vanderkraan. That was a big one. Looks like he just maybe missed the braking marker a little bit. One of them behind.
That was huge contact. I think that was Bruce Tannick that got tagged in that one as well. So multiple drivers have been involved in this one. They're all going to scramble left, right, and center. Matt van der Kraan is crawling that thing. There is huge damage to the front end of that. He's trying to stay out of the way of it. It was David Nash. It wasn't Bruce Tannick. It was the other of the Mag and Turbo entries. It's David Nash.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to get a look at that on replay, but it literally just happened on the screen. I saw it just as it happened. Matt van der Kraan just not sure what's happened. Just the fronts were locked, and he tried to avoid the cars in front of him. Unfortunately, Ken Latta was the unfortunate target, and yeah, that's big implications. We were just talking about Ken for the drive through the field that he was doing, and it's gone bad. No fault of his own. A lot of damage to Matt van der Kraan at the moment. Let's have a look on replay. Oh, it got Delaney as well. That is a big incident. We'll have another look back on replay and we'll see what's actually happened with Matt here. Whether he missed a braking marker or just pinched the fronts.
Oh, he's missed it.
Oh,
He's
he missed it. Yeah, missed it by a mile. Yeah.
Before he even made contact with Ken, he was on the radio saying, I'm sorry, oh, you know, bleep, didn't mean that, you know, effectively.
Yeah.
Little words coming out. And that is how Matt van der Kraan goes racing, by the way, ladies and gents. Very sporting. And he knew it. He missed it. He absolutely missed it.
Yeah. In that situation, your first thought should always be go left, because you can throw yourself up against the wall. You're not going to hit anyone. Kenneth Latta involved in a three-way battle as they go down into turn one. Bit of a tap with the fishy driver. He's held on to that one. I don't know. Oh. And then I'm not sure who that was. That was Bruce Tannick. Did sort of. Oh, the headlights are flashing at the moment. So Ken's trying to pull himself back through this field. I'm pretty sure he is going to have a slowdown. He managed to cut that. Oh, he's trying to slow it down on the racing line. That's just going to cause more incidents. We saw that between Whincup, Tander and McLaughlin all those years at Bathurst. He seems to have recovered out of it. Tannick will just skip away a little bit. Rick Sibra managed to get a spot.
Brenton O'Brien's nearly gone, by the way, in the background. Brenton O'Brien just got a huge tag, and I believe, what's that? It is going to be Damien Cross that gets knocked out into the fence, unfortunately, and that's just all the squabbling that's going on there.
Still going on with this pack.
And I tell you what, Ken Latta is still on the radio calling that incident from turn number one as well. There was more going on at the second chicane, and it all kicked off. I was watching from Darren Lobb's perspective, and it was right in front of him. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we came to Monza here tonight, I sat there and thought, yeah, maybe qualifying's not all that important. Well, it seems we were wrong. It seems you had to qualify at the front, stay out of the trouble, and disappear down the road. That's what Taliangi's just done.
Yeah, that is just sort of exploded in a little bit, but yeah, the other point I was going to make with what we have with Matt van der Kraan, and obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, but in that sort of situation, the first thing you ever want to do is just fire yourself to the left and get out, and because you've got all the space in the world, you're not going to hit anyone. They've changed the physics of grass, so it's not as slippery as what it was before, so you can avoid that accident. But obviously hindsight's a beautiful thing, as we're running down into turn one. You can see they're trying to go three wide. Ken was squeezing a little bit. See, that's what I'm saying there. The grass didn't hurt him as much, and Tannick really did not leave enough room there. I think Ken Latta was just up enough to sort of demand it, but yeah, I don't think a lot of room was left by Bruce in that situation.
And then the lights came on from Tannick as well to say, hey, I'm not necessarily happy about that one. And for that pack now, again, it's continued all on. This is the paddle pack of sort of keeping half an eye on. Look at them all angry, firing into the chicane. They're going to be too wide as they get down here again. It's going to be Brenton O'Brien down to the inside. On the 555, sorry, no, my apologies, it's just a lap ago. This is the incident that happened a lap ago. And as you can see, they got down there, it was too wide in the chicane, and I think they were both in a fraction hot.
I'm wondering if there was a little bit of a network delay in that one, because they did seem they were side by side. It didn't look like there was much side-on contact. Maybe it was just a bit of a that word we don't like to mention too often, but yeah, may have been. Sorry.
Gap whack. Gap whack's my favourite term for it.
Gap whack.
You got waxed by the gap.
You know what? I actually like that. I'm going to keep that one. That's good. So, oh, we got Christian Smart in the wall big time. This is probably going to be a safety car. There is a lot of damage to that car at the moment. Is he going to be able to keep rolling it? We'll wait and see. Oh, that is smoke coming out of Top Duggan's car. That is a lot of damage. Looks like Christian's going to be able to get it going, so he might avoid a safety car, but man, that was a big hit with Christian Smart.
Stephen Murray's just posted over on YouTube, and I like this, actually. I like the term. There's one piece of pie left, and we've got 40 drivers fighting for it.
And oh, that's an even bigger one again. Jason Fewen's involved in this too. The front end of that car has been ripped off. What has gone off? So Darren Crosley, that's another engine that's about to blow.
It's gone.
And I believe we've got
yellow
a total
light. Yellow light on the rear end of the car. That means the engine's gone. So,
Yeah.
so red light on the rear bumper of the car means it's on. Safety car's been deployed. Safety car's just been deployed. So red flashing light on the rear end of the car means that you have an engine and you have your pit lane limiter on. Yellow flashing light, no engine.
Pro tip, did not realise that at all, but
Or an issue of some description. I can't confirm 100% that it's definitely blown engine, but generally an issue. Right, so big question mark. So for somebody like Darren Lobb who's recovering from the rear end of the field, you get the feeling he's got up to 21st, he won't come to the lane for tyres. But Michael Taliancic, he's got track position. I don't think there's any reason he's going to come to the lane and just grab tyres, because he'll drop to nowhere, nowhere.
oh, Christian did that all on his own.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. Did a fantastic job. Almost held on to that. That was an absolute tank slap. He just caught the inside of that first curve, and that curve is evil a lot of the time. It just didn't follow the rear. I think that was probably going to end up in a wreck anyway. But
He
yeah,
covered the whole track though. He covered the somebody was going to get it. There was no way they got through there without him collecting something.
yeah. We're watching Jason Fewens at the moment. You know, he's missed all that, but what's happened here? I'm expecting to see. Oh, he's tagged the wall as he rolled the car back, and oh no! Oh, that is big. Has it rolled? I couldn't quite pick up who that was, but have they rolled the car back with Darren Crosby? Oh no. No, and that's why you don't do that. That is exactly why you do not do that.
So once he's on the outside of the track there though, man, it's like there's nothing Fewens can do. Like the car's got to keep going all the way off the circuit.
Yeah, so right there is when you just put your foot through the firewall on that brake pedal. Because at that point, you had a car on the inside. So there's literally at that point, there's very little you can do to avoid that one. Yeah, I don't know if race control is going to look too good on that one. That the car was almost stopped. Should have just put his foot on the brake and just stopped the car there and then.
Like reversed.
Yeah, or even just wait for everyone to clear. That's prime example of why everyone always says hold your foot on the brake pedal. Doesn't matter where you are, just hold your foot on the brake pedal. If the car just naturally ended up out there, then there's not really much anyone in that situation can do. But the fact, it's sort of its car stopped on the inside. I could see what he's tried to do. He's tried to let the car roll, flick around, and go again. But it's just it's why we always say just if you're ever in an accident like that, just put on the brake and just come to a stop and then reassess when you can go.
Oh, word, ladies and gents. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. What happened to this race? We had quite a calm, settled race. And then Scotty Van Loon. I'll tell you what, I don't think anyone's going to be his biggest fan, because he triggered that first safety car and then it's just been raw madness ever since.
It's everyone plays a part in that one. There's been lots of incidents up and down the field, so it's we always sort of mention it, especially in sort of sim racing, is just letting the fumes get to you a little bit, and I think that's what we're sort of seeing is everyone's, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for them to make pits, make time, make positions, try and capitalise on a few mistakes, and yeah, sometimes just rushing there a little bit too hard. But yeah, it's fortunately race control is not going to be. I don't think they're going to be having too much of a fun night tonight.
I love the fact that we get to sit here and be pundits. Christian Smart just made a report. He actually lost force feedback, which is what triggered that mistake from him, and why he was scrambling a fair bit.
That would make sense, yes.
That's what's triggered that, and everyone's sort of scrambling all over it. Let's talk about strategy then, and most recent pit lap. So there's a ton of drivers that pit on lap number 15, which was the previous safety car. Well, Ken Ladder pit on lap 23. He came to the lane, resurfaced on 24. He's the first driver to have taken tyres. So everyone from Ken Ladder on backwards has been to the pit lane to take fresh rubber. And for Ken Ladder, he was mired in traffic. He had a little bit of damage. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Don't know if he had too much damage out of that little incident. Hopefully managed to get that repaired pretty quick. But yeah, this will be interesting. It's going to be a big task. It's I think going to be probably, I'm assuming we're going to probably go back to green flag. So it'll be 9 laps to go when they get the flag. That's a lot of positions you've got to try and cover in such a short space of time. But interesting to see how the new tyres work, whether or not they get that big of an advantage. I definitely say they would be getting a bit. Most of the guys that they're around at the moment, they're on about 11 lap old tyres, because that's pretty much when the last safety car came out. The only person I can see who's on older tyres is actually Paul Burns. He's on 19 lap old tyres up in P8 at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see if he can make those tyres last to the end. Yeah, he's done a good job to make lap 20 out of that one. So
take this in your stride. The incident point penalty tonight for Ken Ladder. Have a think about this. He didn't actually serve a pit stop. It was a drive-through penalty for hitting the incident point limit. With the amount of squabbling, Mez, and the amount of car-to-car contact we've seen, there will be a number of drivers out there.
Ken Ladder's done 3 stops that I can see tonight on my screen. So I'm assuming, well, if one of them's been a drive-through for the incident point,
that was the one at the end of lap 23. Whereas Heddershide is the first driver who has picked up fresh rubber, and for Paul Burns, no. Oh no, for Paul Burns.
Oh yep, hang on, yes, that. Oh yep. If I had looked 2 columns to the left, I would have seen that there. Yep, 1 pit stop. He needs 1 more CPS. Yeah. Unless he's hoping for 1 more safety car, which
it's even
with 9 to go, I don't think there's any chance that even if there is another safety car that people are going to pit. So I think Paul is looking like he might fall foul of the 2 CPS rule this time around.
That'll be a DQ for the results, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, as already been established after Bathurst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a DQ because there was 3 drivers that fell afoul of that one. I believe they're actually doing laps car releases at the moment, so I don't think we'll actually go green this time. But I think it's actually going to be next lap.
Yeah. Well, if Paul's listening, I'd be getting into the pit lane as soon as you possibly can, because I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it. Try and get a top 10, but yeah, not keep the result. So yeah, be boxing as soon as you possibly can. So yeah, it'd be header shot that we want to see that sort of come through the field. So yeah, so as you're saying, if that was Ken Ladder's pit stop was just a drive through for an incident point, then yeah, he's going to be sitting on 11 lap old tyres, the same as everyone else around him. So he won't have a huge advantage as what we would have thought.
Just having a quick look, something's happened to Travis Hunt under that safety car as well.
Good point. Yeah,
it's like he's just lost pedals, because he's never picked up the throttle again whilst he's under safety car. Matt Vanderkraan's going to grab some fresh rubber and have a crack.
Yeah. Don't see anyone else going for the lane. Scotty Van Loon's in there at the moment, but I think he was significantly down. And yeah, we've just got the cars that were involved in that Ellington. So everyone's sort of staying out for the moment. But yeah.
Dan's over in the chat saying dang it Scott, and I have no idea what he's saying about dang it Scott, so we'll get an update from Dan Yeaman behind the scenes as to what
no. It'd be in response to Stephen Murray's comment, which will give him 10 out of 10 for that one. That was a quality response.
Travis Hunt lost the engine. It was just there and then it wasn't.
Oh.
He's tried refiring it multiple times, and every single time he gets it into gear, the engine stalls again.
Is Travis in pit lane?
Well, he is now. So, so I've just gone back to have a look at it. There's some sort of hardware failure that's gone on there for Travis Hunt because he pulled out of the queue. It's like he just lost the engine.
Oh, actually, yeah. No, now I see. Yeah, stopped before the start-finish line. Yeah, just nothing there. That's what has gone on there. So that'd be another. Looks like another hardware failure tonight.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as it stands, there are two commentators' curses that are going around. There's one if your name is Scott McCune, and the second one is if you agree to do an interview with me prior to the race. So I guess one and done for Travis Hunt. I don't think anyone else is going to take that up next week.
No, definitely not. I think that everyone's going to be avoiding you. So
don't become friends with me. It tends to result in bad luck.
Oh, it's a good thing we're only colleagues and not friends.
Mez, when can you point in your sim racing career it all went downhill? Yeah, when I started working commentary with Scott Rankin. Right there, it just fell off a cliff.
Actually, no, I have to say the point in time which I went down here for me in terms of sim racing was when I met Jay Kennedy, but that's a story for another time. We won't get onto that one on here. But yes.
I can tell you, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, court-ordered marriage counselling between Dan Yeaman, our producer, and Simon Mazzomo after last week. Apparently, Dan Yeaman didn't show up. So Mez is saying that he's fulfilled his obligations and these two will play nicer in the future for you guys. But Dan can't talk in the background and we give him hell for it. So shout out to Dan for being our producer. We love having him on board and messing with him in every opportunity.
Yeah, Dan has been very, very quiet tonight. Not that I'm complaining. But yeah, it's just been a nice conversation between us two tonight. We've got to enjoy some great racing, and we've had a bit of a conversation between each other. That's the way it should work, I'd say. We've
rustled his feathers very much, though. He's not happy with you, so I'll leave that one with you two. It's me that sent you guys up the tree, got the cat amongst the pigeons. But for right now, it's Michael Taliancic who has control of the field. The podcast in the safety car periods here tonight is now over. We hope Damien Cairns sits ready to grab his first podium in a very, very long time. And Michael Taliancic is going to go at exactly the same point in time as he did last time, and he is going to surge out nice and early, and this time Damien Cairns is the driver that's in second place, and he is going to get eaten alive as they come down the start-finish straight. Cairns now manages to find the draft, but Dave Kirby is going to be there to the inside. Lewis is trying to hang on to the background from Paul Warwick, and here comes Blake Delaney. He's not had a great run of the V8 veterans thus far, but now he's looking to show his wares. They go side by side through turn one. Damien Cairns lives out the other side, but for Chad Lewis, he thought for a moment he was going to put 1 foot on that podium, and that door very quickly closed.
Yeah. I was going to say, it seems like second place has a curse when it comes up to turn one, but did a fantastic job to hold that one. But I think Kirby's not over with this one yet. Had a little bit of a look. Got to be careful too. Chad Lewis has had a fair bit of pace in this run. And you've also got Blake Delaney who's keeping coming through the field as well. So there's a lot of drivers that are sniffing around this pack at the moment that have pace. And you can see very sideways from Damien Cairns coming out of that first Lesbo. You can see that wheel. He was trying to hold on to it. Trying to hold on to this second place at the moment, but they're checking up a little bit. coming out of the second Lesmo. Kirby did not have a good of a run. Now Warwick is going to be all over the back of Chad Lewis as they head up to Scari. With a few more to go, they'll run side by side. Kirby just not quite getting a good run through Ascari, sideways coming off the curb. This is really going to open up the door for Chad Lewis to potentially have a run at third place here. Damien Cairns doing quite a good job, just trying to skip away a little bit. Taliancic again up front, he's got that gap out to about 0.6 of a second, just casually drawing it away. But now as they run out of Parabolica, the draft is going to be helping Warwick a little bit, but Chad Lewis, helping Kirby a little bit, but Chad Lewis is definitely going to be trying to close up on that rear bumper. So they head down the front straight towards turn 1. He's closing up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be close enough. Sticks the nose out a little bit hard on the brakes, tries to close it on the rear bumper. There's a little bit of defending into turn 1. It's going to compromise their lines a little bit. Paul Warwick sideways, and also Blake Delaney sideways out of the corner.
Somebody absolutely sidestepped turn 1 and just went straight through it. I'm not 100% sure who it was, but they just went straight into turn 1. Yeah, it was Sebra. Good spot. Great spot there, Mez. That's Rick Sebra who was sidestepped, but for me, Damien Cairns is doing a great job. How good's the drop? He's staying with Taliancic this time as Sebra will try and feed back in, but Dave Kirby's got an opportunity here. So does Chad Lewis. Lewis has been on the aggression so far tonight. I've seen a lot of moves out of Chad Lewis, and he's in with a real shout. 9 spots up the timing tower for Dave Kirby from where he started. 6 for Cairns, 5 for Lewis, 6, 17 for Paul Burns, albeit he's going to get an EQ at this point.
There's battle.
16.
Yeah, there's battle between. I think the battle at the moment is going to be between Kirby and Chad Lewis. You can see Damien Cairns, he's just skipping away a little bit over time. You can see, look at the lap times. Cairns is sticking with Taliancic. He is going with him as we look on replay to see what's going on. Oh, locked up, and he's just done the smart thing and just kept going. Hasn't tried to make the apex. That's going to be a big slowdown. The slowdown, if you cut across there, is massive. So you've got to sort of get out the way. And Chad Lewis.
Here, Bez, then you're 100% right. Lewis trying to go around the outside of Parabolica, and all that's done is lined up the inside for Paul Warwick. So he's going to get to the inside. Have a look at Delaney. He's going to be in the background of that one as well. So Delaney's starting to crawl all over these guys. Stewart's going to grab a spot. Has Burns sidestepped into the pit lane? No, he hasn't. So he's still in and around this one. But keep your eyes up, ladies and gentlemen, because here they come. Lewis defends on the run down into turn number 1. And you get the feeling for Chad Lewis. He went from being on the offensive, now he's on the defensive.
Tell you what, look at the side-by-side. Greg Sharp and Tanek trying to go side-by-side to the corner. Did a really good job there. But I just noticed that the ability of Chad Lewis, he's definitely braking a lot later than the pack he is at the moment. He's able to get that thing so deep into turn 1. That's where he's making up most of that gap at the moment. I've no doubt he'll be right back on him, and looks at this little battle here. Greg Sharp just a bit wide. It's going to check him up a little bit as well. He's going to have the 911. David Nash down the inside. So they head into the first Lesmo side by side. Sharp's just going a bit sideways. Little bit of contact on the rear bumper, but they will get through it. That was so close for being a much bigger incident. So easy to get sideways over that curb. These guys have put a fair bit of life, a bit of work into these tyres now. The peak grip of them is absolutely gone. So now it's just trying to get it to the end of this race. And just noticing as well, Chad Lewis has actually dropped behind Warwick as well. There's a big gap that's appeared between that 3rd, 4th and 5th spot, because something has happened there as well, and that's given David Kirby that breath of fresh air that he needed. He'll be able to keep away from that pack at this point.
Have a look at the line difference now as Blake Delaney's going to crawl all over the rear bumper. It's Fishy 2 cars ahead of him. It's Fishy behind. Normally it's a fish sandwich, but this time it's going to be the fish that makes the buns. And unfortunately for Chad Lewis, he is an ERT driver that's in the back. And Blake Delaney just lights up the front brakes as he gets down into turn number 1. Nicks the spot away. Blake Delaney into P5 at the back end of a V8 Veterans race for the first time in his Veterans career. Unfortunately at Sandown it didn't go his way, but he's looking to make amends here tonight.
Oh, you can see a couple of cars. John Latham and looks like Scott McCune side by side out of turn 1. That move by Delaney, that was incredible. How you can pull that car up. He went so deep into turn 1 and still managed to pull that car up. I thought for a second he was not going to make Max.
It's going to be Nash. It's David Nash. It's way off the line, and he cut the curve. There is almost guaranteed to be a slowdown penalty coming his way. No, nothing to speak of at this point in time for the driver of the 911. So he survives that one out the other side, and it's Robert Crisdale who's now plus 17 from his starting point and wiggles the rear end. So rear tyres have come at a premium, and that premium is now gone, and you're into the used end of that tyre's lifespan. And for those guys who have not sat on their tyres, they've not looked after them, now you are struggling.
Around the outside, heading up to Ascari. He's got a phenomenal run down there. Looks like for the moment David Nash just cannot hold on to those tyres. He's starting to bleed a little bit of time, but he's going to have the draft of Robert Crandell, so that'll help him a little bit. You can see behind him as well Darren Lobb in his recovery drive at the moment up to P14. Looks like he will make that P13. Just sneaks past Jeff Thomas. Good move there, but now got to head down the front straight as well. Jeff Thomas also dropping back a little bit as well. He's going to have Robert Griffiths on the bumper of him at the moment as they head down to turn 1. It looks like this position, Crisdale's not out of it yet. David Nash will look to the outside, but can't quite get there. He's going to get, actually he's going to get the nose just there, but not quite enough to really offer an opportunity to make a pass, and looks like Crisdale will survive that one. That creates an opportunity for Darren Lobb as they run up to turn 2.
Yeah, so survives, gets it turned in, and is going to survive. In the meantime, Taliancic trying to look after some rear tyres, trying to give himself every opportunity to continue pressing on forward. Cairns, at the start of this lap, Kirby was quite close as they made their way down into the first chicane. But for now, Cairns has let that aero effect stabilise the margin between the two cars. Paul Warwick is still defending from teammate Blake Delaney. He's managed to crawl his way to 4th as Warwick. So that'll be a great night at the office for him. And how about Chris Miller up 9 spots into P8 as well? But Crisdale's the talk of the town at the moment. Can he get the hammer down? Can he go in search of Bruce Tannock up the road?
Absolutely. And this battle for first at the moment, just looking at all their sector times at the moment, they're all very, very close, all 3 of them. We kind of would have thought that Taliancic would skip away a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's the
By the way, Darren Crosby's a lapped car that's just ahead of these guys, so he's still wearing damage, took his fast repair very early on in the race. He's got nothing left. Have a look at the straight, they just leave him for dead. And he actually, that's quite smart. He's going to take a pit lane drive through, self-inflicted, just so he sidesteps the lead pack. That's actually quite smart.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just looking at like the first few sectors, even here, a little bit of lap traffic. They're all still punching around the same lap time. So Damien Cairns has genuinely been able to go with Taliancic. This is not just the draft playing a factor here. Damien Cairns has 100% has the pace of Taliancic at the moment, and Kirby, much to my surprise, I'll be honest, he's starting to drop off the back of the top 3, but he's starting to crawl himself back, and his sector times were looking really, really good at the back half of that last lap. So Damien Kirby, with 3 to go, definitely still a player in this top 3 battle.
Did you just say Damien Kirby, a cross between Dave Kirby and Damien Cairns?
I'm dyslexic as anything, so I probably would have done that.
I like it. We'll get them both into the interview at the same time and say to Damien Kirby, can you please... Yeah, we'll have some fun with that one as the season continues. But for now, keep your eyes on that ticker on the bottom of the screen as well. There's quite a number of tracks on that schedule that I'm quite interested by, including Hockenheimring Outer, and there is another race. We did go to Circuit de Jerez last season, which, by the way, I keep getting told that I will get absolutely murdered if I was over in Spain.
Yeah, it's Jerez.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep saying Jerez, and we'll see how far I get myself around.
You don't have to go to Spain because I'll deal the punishment. It's Jerez. Do not speak ill of Jerez. That track is amazing, and I'm actually really, really keen to see V8 Vets go there, because that is going to be an amazing track to see some racing at. I love the track. It's so good.
Well, for racing up at the top end of town, the support in the chat coming the way of Damien Cairns. The viewers at home, they're willing him along. I'm willing him along. Oh, Could you imagine how popular a victory would be for Blake Delaney at the moment, though? He's defending all the way to the white line on the inside of the track. Lewis is starting to come back on him. And for somebody who was so supreme, so confident on the brakes just a couple laps ago, it's going to be 2 to go this time by. He'll have one more shot at turn number 1. Who is going to be the last of the late breakers?
And don't forget, there's Michael Stewart and Chris Miller just behind as well. Michael Stewart coming back through the field as well. That got hurt a little bit from the pit stops, but still well and truly in this battle. P7 at the moment. But yeah, Chad Lewis just sitting on the rear bumper. And Paul Warwick as well, actually just up ahead in P4, seems to have dropped back a little bit and sort of compressing that field a little bit between those top 4 in that 4th spot.
Darren Lobb's going to get his way up to P10, and I was just about to say, can we look at this pack of cars? Because in terms of things, Darren Lobb, from him back to 30th, they're all in a chain. They're all in a big old line. So there's a ton of spots that could change on this final lap. We saw how antsy all of the drivers got on the previous restart. Well, this time by, they've settled themselves in. They're going for the long run, and now it's going to be Tanek who's having to defend from Robert Chrisdale. Chrisdale's got absolutely beautiful pace. He got to the head of this chain. Now he's going to start trying to push out in front of it, and Bruce Tanek will be his next victim. How quickly can he get there? Well, he's only going to have one more lap, and for our race leaders, they're about to cross the start-finish line. White flag in the air, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be one more lap from Monza, and now to the inside goes Chad Lewis. He's got there, he's got the overlap, but it's going to be the pincer, the pin to the inside of the racetrack from Blake Delaney. The nose is going to be fractionally ahead, and Lewis gets there, gets the nose clear, job done. He had that spot nicked off him a couple laps ago, and this time he earns the respects back. That was phenomenal. They raced it hard, but they raced it fair, and it's going to be Chad Lewis that comes out the other side. For Michael Stewart though now he's going to defend from Funky. I want to ask Chris Miller, has he got an offie left here? Has he got the wrong one? Is he going to throw something the way of Michael Stewart? Or is he left to sit there and throw an arm ball down?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting as they go onto the back straight. It's going to really need to really maximise the run through the Lesmos at the moment. I don't think he's close enough. He had a good run up into turn 2, but hasn't really capitalised on it. The gap's starting to spread out a little bit, but Talyancic, this has been a strong drive tonight. He's got that gap out to half a second. I don't think Cairns is really going to be able to do much from here. Brake hard into Ascara, use every little bit of the track. Just nice, smooth run through. Cairns all over the curb. Kirby in the background as well. They're all pushing each other, all willing each other along. But Talyancic, he's got one more corner to go, and this has been a phenomenal drive from Talyancic all night. Controlled and smooth. One more corner to go, and he's going all the way to the checkered flag.
And for me, Mez, this is a big drive for Michael Talyancic. It's been effectively 2 different races. It's going to come to the line, and for me, it's going to be Michael Talyancic who takes it. But, ladies and gentlemen, it was a phenomenal race, and it's going to be Damien Cairns. It's been a long time between drinks. I haven't seen him on the podium since we've been here as a part of the broadcast crew. And I can tell you what, that is going to be a phenomenal podium. We've seen flashes in the pan. We've seen outright results. And last season it was Michael Stewart that got there. It was Matt van der Kraan. And this season it's going to be Damien Cairns. It's the first of the drivers outside of that top 4 that we've seen squabble at both Sandown and at the Mountain that will get home and nick a podium. And what a popular podium that'll be. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the incident point penalties, they do count. They're very important. Bruce Tanek got one just before he got to the last lap. Did manage to get through the lane and serve his black flag penalty, but for John Latham, he picked up one on the very last lap of the race. Could not serve it. We'll have a post-race time penalty added to his time. That's it from the Temple of Speed, though. My word, Mez. It was tame to begin with, and then all of a sudden somebody decided, to Scotty Van Loon, there'll be quite a few drivers that'll be sitting there shaking their fist at him.
Yeah, but yeah, we've sort of spoke about so far. Michael Talyancic put it on pole and then just ran away from it all night. Controlled the field with a fantastic first stint and just gathered it up from there, will take the win. Fantastic drive from Damien Cairns to come home in P2. David Kirby, the start of the Fishy double in third. Paul Warwick, fantastic job as well. Managed to hold out the charging pack from behind to fourth. Chad Lewis in fifth spot as well. Definitely had the pace early on, but didn't quite maximise it. Blake Delaney will come home in P6. A good drive back through the field after those opening lap incidents. Michael Stewart, P7. Good drive there. Chris Miller will be home in 8th. Greg Sharp in P9. And Darren Lobb, another one of those drivers involved in an opening lap incident, managing to come through for the top 10.
My word, we'll look back to 11. There's going to be Roswick Crisdell's the first driver outside of the top 10. Did a phenomenal race. I think he was up somewhere around the 17, 18 position mark. At the tail end of that one, David Nash, Jeff Thomas. Jeff had a quiet night at the office, but did manage to pick off quite a number of spots. Robbie Griffith, Rick Sebra will run through the first chicane towards the tail end of the race. He was on for a phenomenal finish. I was actually getting the opportunity to chat Split 2 broadcaster about him a couple weeks ago. Tim Nichols, Steve Kennedy, Matt Parker gained a number of positions. Jamie McKnight and Scott McCune round out your top 20. We'll throw it over the page because remember, there's 40 drivers we're going to get through. Brenton O'Brien grabs 19 spots to finish in 21st. Dean Flavel, 22nd. Darren Goosey, who led laps in the middle of that race, by the way. Another driver that's moved up the splits this season. Chris Blanchard, Michael Quain, Chad Vigor, Todd Duggan, Peter Vanderkraan, Damien Cross, Ken Latta home in 30th. That'll be a drop round for Ken Latta for sure. Bruce Tannock in 31st. Paul Burns, Simon Hedges. Burns definitely got his second pit stop out of the way. Won't be DQ'd after all. Matt Vanderkraan, John Latham, Chris Smart, Travis Hunt, Darren Crosby, Jason Fewens, and Scotty Van Loon, with Hunt, Crosby, Fewens, and Van Loon all off the lead lap. 40 finishes from the V8 veterans. And for one driver in particular, you know what? Let's not delay this interview. Normally we go 1, 2, 3 or in reverse order. But for Damien Cairns, I get the feeling I've seen a number of shuckers out of this guy over the last few seasons that we've been commentating. Damien Cairns, can I get a woohoo?
Woohoo!
How's the mood in the cockpit after that drive, my friend?
Oh, so much better now. So much better now.
Were the nerves starting to climb in the tail end of that race?
They were. And I was just trying to keep that gap just enough from behind, from David, and yeah, I tell you what, it was
Mate,
good fun, but it was on the edge of my seat.
That second last run down into turn number 1, you closed massively on Talyancic, and all of a sudden, I think there was quite a few boys that held their breath, not the least Anthony Visma sitting along in the chat, that went, hang on, Kenzie might have a crack at this, but just wasn't to be on that last lap.
No, and I would have had to be a bit closer to even try the move on him and risk losing a podium or whatever. But yeah, I didn't think I'd hang with him, but he towed me through in the end, so I'll have to thank him when he comes in. For towing me around for the second.
Mate, well, I mean, you can't get there and be 2 seconds off the pace, so you've absolutely got the pace to get there. Talk us through the opening laps of that one, because it was absolute melee on that opening lap. How'd you even survive?
Yeah, well, had a good qualifying, so being up the front helped a lot, and then managed to get through turn 1. And once you're through turn 1, it's not too bad after that if everyone settles down. So yeah, that was the biggest worry. Once you get through there, and then the first dent, I thought I'll come in just a little bit earlier, and then obviously when the safety car came out, everyone was on the same strategy, but I think I had a little bit less fuel to put in, and a couple of were close to me, so I managed to come out in third or something, and then just had a good race from there.
In terms of things, mate, that puts a lot of confidence on the mark. I mean, have a look at the drivers that are around you. Have a look at the stead that you're sort of in. But, you know, you can sit here and go, yeah, well, Ken Latta didn't have a great night. Darren Lobb didn't have a great night. You know, all these drivers didn't have a late night. But at the same time, you've got to execute. Everyone, whenever I see a race like this, the first words that come out of other people's mouths, I got a little bit lucky. Well, yeah, you did, but you still got to execute in that moment.
Oh, 100%. And getting a podium in this field is, you know, you can't beat it. And I can't even remember when my last one was, probably quite a few seasons ago. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to finally get up there. And with this field, it's just, you know, anyone that can get in the top 10 has had a really good race.
Mate, in terms of things, I do actually want to ask you about it because every single time you're on the camera, we get a shuckers, we get something out of you. There's always some emotion in the cockpit. You just love sim racing. It just oozes fun for you. For me, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is. It's just about having a bit of fun, and I have the wife on the Discord, and she watches. So if it pops up, she'll just say, "Oh, you're on the screen," so I can do a bit of a shuckers. But she was too scared to in that last bit of the race. She was too scared to even get on there and say anything. So she said, "Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. I'll just let you go." So yeah, there was no shuckers tonight, but yeah, that's usually what happens.
So to all the boys from the V8 veterans, secret to a happy marriage, she needs to not only be there and be supportive, but she's also going to be part of your sim racing career and know when to work with you and when to tell you about something that's happening out on track. That's the secret. Well, Damien, I'll let you thank your sponsors and everything that's possible, but I think you might start with just her.
Yes, I would like to thank my wife. It is actually our anniversary today, so happy anniversary, darling. And
what an anniversary present!
Oh, I know. That's what she said on the thing when I won. She goes, "Yeah, it's anniversary." So yeah, all good. And just the boys in the team, Greg and Anthony and Michael and all the rest of them. Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box Lock and Storage, Modern Deck, Blacktown Mazda, and everyone at the 8 Vets. You guys doing the broadcast. You know, so much work goes into it. Yeah, fantastic.
All the moving parts, they all have to work, mate. And finally, to finish the celebrations for tonight, one last shuckers.
Yeah.
Well done tonight, Damo. Congratulations. Enjoy
Thanks,
that
boys.
one. That'll
will.
be celebrated for a fair while to come.
For sure.
Mez, that was phenomenal to talk to him. I think we're going to move one step forward on the podium. We'll talk to our race winner for the next one. But he was celebrating. He loved that moment.
Yeah. Definitely, anytime you get a podium, especially in a stack field like this, anytime you get a podium, yeah, definitely deserves to be proud of that one.
Right, all right. So we're going to take one step further forward, like we just said. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight's race winner, he was 1 point behind in the championship race. Well, when you win a race, you earn just about maximum points. And Tally, you've had a rough couple of weeks. We talked to you last week. You said it was quite difficult, obviously, with the time zones and everything. This week, a little bit easier on terms of the time zones. A lot of driving that you've done over the last sort of 3 weeks or so. Nice and relaxed drive tonight, not too nervy.
Yeah, it was pretty relaxed tonight. I didn't work today, so had plenty of sleep. I'm not tired for once. I was getting a bit bored at the start there when I broke the draft. I was like, this is really hard to like focus when you're sort of driving around on your own, but that safety car brought it back in and there was like no way I was breaking the draft. It's way too strong around here. Made it definitely interesting, but had a good race and really stoked for Damien and David. Like, good to see some other people up there. They probably would have liked to be in front of me, but they still did well.
We saw Damien Cairns on that second last lap get quite close to you down at turn 1, and all of a sudden when you see that, somebody you haven't necessarily raced before, does the mindset change? Does the psychology change? How you're approaching the approach to turn 1 change just a little bit?
I just try to like shut my eyes and go through there like I would every other lap. To be honest, like as soon as you start stressing about the people behind you, you start making mistakes. I think it was about 6 laps to go. I made a mistake at turn 1 and he got right on me, and that was coming up to the next chicane. Because I felt the pressure of him there, I just immediately sort of reacted and I took an off track, and that was actually my first off track of the race. But getting that off track sort of made the race a little bit easier at the end there, because I was being so cautious trying to finish the race on 0 incidents. I wasn't really hitting my lines properly, and then I just sort of pushed it a little bit, and in a way I probably abused the off tracks a little bit in the last 5 laps, because why not? It's a little bit faster through there to just push the limits.
Mate, in terms of things tonight, looked like it was a real rear tyre defensive kind of night. A lot of drivers having issues with getting the power down out of Parabolica, out of Ascari, everywhere. Everywhere around here, very, very slow or incredibly loaded acceleration zones.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. This version of the car is really hard to get off the bumps. It just loses all its traction, and because of the off-track limits are so tight around here, you have to be turning quite sharp across the curbs, which unsettles the rear, and it just likes to burst into the wheel spin. Like in practice, I was spinning the car on 5% throttle, and I was just like, this is crazy. But yeah, just have to like try and keep calm through the race and do your best to not make those same mistakes that you do in practice.
Mate, obviously nice clean night. Championship rivals a little bit more buried in the pack after a lap 1 incident. That, you know, that effectively for them now puts a pencil through one line. They've burned up one of their drop rounds for things. Makes things a little bit easier at the front.
Yeah, I prefer to keep it nice and close. The more of a challenge I get, the faster I'll turn up, because I'm just more enthusiastic about it. Hopefully the other guys turn up next week and have nice clean races, because I think it's good to have that challenge up there, and I was really looking forward to racing Kenneth tonight. I thought he was going to smash me in qualifying. I was expecting him to pop up with a 46.5 or something, because I was doing a lot quicker in practice. But yeah, I think he joined the session really late, so he probably had a bit of pressure on.
All right, Mike, it's been a tough couple of weeks in terms of the amount of kilometres that you've done, but time to thank those sponsors that make it possible for you here tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to thank VRS, Race Tech New Zealand, Logitech, and VRS Altus Package Engineering. And thank you to all you guys, thank you to all the competitors and everyone behind the scenes that make this great series run. Have a good night.
Congratulations, Michael. Enjoy the win, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, see you guys.
And finally, Mez, I believe you've got good old Dave Kirby on standby.
Hello.
Hello, David. P3 tonight. You were involved in quite a heavy battle pack. You had Chad Lewis and and Paul Warwick sort of coming at you right at the end there, but you managed to hold them off. And how would you sum up that little battle at the end there?
Yeah, no, it was good. Obviously, for me, the battle was in front. You know, I obviously saw what was going on behind me. I'm thinking, well, if they're going to fight like they did early, that enabled me to get away in the end on that last restart. But look, had a good race. Didn't qualify all that well, as much as I would have liked, but got off the line really well and kind of stayed out of trouble through that melee at the second chicane. So all in all there, it was just a case of getting your rhythm and bring it home safely and as quickly as possible.
As you mentioned, qualifying wasn't that well. You started at a P12, so definitely a good push through the field to come up with the podium. Was it just a bit? You had a really good race pace, but not so much qualifying, or was it really the strategy that helped you get through the field?
Look, I've had good quali pace all week, so everything I've done, sort of the quali pace has been there, but for some reason, obviously turned everything on tonight, and I've had a few sound issues, so nothing was really feeling right. So obviously missed a little bit of feel, obviously in the butt kicker and everything wasn't working properly, so lost a little bit there. So the qualifying wasn't great. I screwed up my first lap at the second chicane, went a bit long, and then was able to better it on the second lap, which was good, but certainly not where I wanted to be. From there on in, it was, I guess, a little bit of strategy, saved a little bit of fuel. I know it's not really a fuel saving race, but just to save a little bit, look after the tyres, stay in that draft with the cars in front, and hope that they made a mistake. I did get past Travis Honey, had a bit of a wiggle out of the second chicane there, probably about mid-race or whatever, so I was able to get up past him, and from there on in it was pretty much straightforward. Just protect your lines, hit your brake markers, and let the race come to you.
Absolutely, and that sort of getting onto the back of the guys in front, and that final run sort of helped. Was you sort of noticing, we were commenting on it a bit tonight, and Tally actually sort of spoke a little bit then about the trickiness and trying to keep the car stable and keep the rear tyres alive. Did you sort of feel that as the race progressed? Mainly because we were sort of looking at the restart, and it sort of felt like the car was falling away from you, but you managed to come back and catch back up to that gap in front. So did it feel like the rears, if you looked after them, they still kept well into the stint?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obviously, exit of 2, you're really going to hurt the rears if you're not careful on the throttle. So that was a key focus all race, just to make sure you didn't light them up coming out of there. It's hard because keeping it stable under brakes, especially into turn one, when you are in that draft and you do have that closing speed. And obviously it's risk versus reward as well. I did think I might have had Damien there at the second restart, but that was some really good driving from not only myself, but big credit to Damo as well. We went side by side through there and never touched. So credit to him for respectful driving as well. So.
No, that was really good to see. I know a few guys had tried to go through there side by side, but you're among the few that did it safely. So that was really, really good to watch in that restart.
Yeah, you got to play it smart and trust. If you're going to go for a move, you got to trust not only yourself, but then you've also got to trust the bloke beside you as well. So I know Damo's not one that would turn in on you and stuff. So I know that I could throw it up there, and we could generally, hopefully, fingers crossed. Obviously, stuff can go wrong, but we can get through there cleanly, which we did. So, credit to him. And I think Chad was right underneath my rear wing at the time as well. So, I was kind of probably probably throwing a blanket over the three of us there at that point.
No, definitely could have. Well, awesome drive tonight. Who would you like to thank for getting it done?
Obviously, everybody at Fishy Motorsports, one of the best teams out there. And of course, West End Motor Group, Infinity Designs, Adrenaline Images, DC Shades, Relax Marine Relax Marine Game Fishing, I can't remember how it goes. It's been a while. And Precision Sim Training, and of course, CLS Constructions, North Queensland.
No worries. Well, I always stumble when I do my when I do my things as well, so don't worry.
It's been a while. I think it was like 2 seasons ago.
If you had to practice, it does stuff you up a little bit. But good drive tonight, and congrats on the podium.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Congrats, Dave Kirby. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the coverage here tonight from Monza. The Temple of Speed has been signed off from, and we go from one Formula One track to another one, albeit a previous generation. This one has been earmarked on my calendar for a while. I kind of like the older style Silverstone. Will the drivers remember how to navigate this one? Given it's the veterans, this one is more from their era. Who will tame the tough and tricky Silverstone? Who will tame Maggots, Beckett's, and down onto the Hangar Straight? Ladies and gents, you'll have to join us next week to find that one out. Coverage starts from 8:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on the 12th of October. I've been Scotty Radogan Rankin, off alongside of Simon the Mezzomo and Dan Yeaman on your coverage. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, and Nova Sim Sports, this is the V8 Veterans Season number 17.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.